who followed in there, because the women have contributed more and more as time has gone by. And General Dunwoody certainly is one of those people who can do a tremendous job and should be recognized for her great service.
Absolutely. And there was a ceremony last week on Thursday. A new statue was unveiled up at West Point, statue of former President Ulysses S. Grant, the 18th President of the United States, and a graduate of West Point, class of 1843. It's a 7.5-foot bronze statue of Grant, which is a little bit taller than him. He was actually 5 foot in real life, on top of a 4.5-foot granite base. The statue is the first since 1983, the statue of General Dwight D. Eisenhower to be positioned in the vicinity of the plane. Other notable graduates with statues at the Academy include General Douglas MacArthur, class of 1903, and General George S. Patton, class of 1909. So a new statue of General Grant up at West Point.
And you know, General Grant is largely forgotten these days, aside from his military service in terms of the Civil War. But when people were asked at the turn of the last century, at the turn of the 18th century, in the 19th century into the 20th century, in 1900, who were the most famous presidents at that time, General Grant ranked up there right behind Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, and ahead of Abraham Lincoln. So it just goes to show that as time passes, sometimes our perspectives and our changes go through there, and they're fully recognized. But he certainly was an important player in the development of our country. And Ken, what do you think about that?
Yeah, sorry we couldn't get up to West Point on Friday for that dedication, but it's interesting to look at West Point's impact on the Civil War, because they provided leaderships to both sides of the conflict.
Absolutely, the West Point had the leadership. No matter which side won, they were going to come from the annals of West Point.
Okay, we have a special guest calling in. Wasn't sure if he's going to make it, but with one of the tragedies that happened this weekend, we've done this before. We have Rear Admiral Harold Robinson, a rabbi, calling in from I'm not sure where today, but Admiral, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you very much, Ken.
Hey,
by the way, that's Rear Admiral retired. Just so you get the.
I think you're retired only in definition. You keep providing services to the military all over the world in what you do. But Admiral, I called on you. This terrible tragedy in California over the weekend near San Diego. It's an unspeakable event. But I just wanted to ask your perspective, and you tend to know people all over the country. In the Jewish community. Tell us a little bit of your perspective, if you would.
Well, first of all, start with innocent people in a day of worship on the Sabbath, on the festival of Passover, the last day of Passover, doing nothing more malicious than sitting and praying together. How warped is this whole world that they would be the targets? But they're the targets not just of some individual who has snapped. One goes onto the dark net, the internet, on the dark web, as it's referred to, and one finds all these conspiratorial thinking going on. And one of the dominant conspiratorial tropes or motifs is that Jews are behind all kinds of ills for the white nation, and Jews are manipulating African Americans and people of color from Central America and South America. Jews are these manipulators of all bad things and threatening the white Christian community. It's very warped. It has clearly no basis in reality, but it allows these people to find a target for their sense of failure, their sense of incapacity in life, their fears, and that target has led to white nationalism being the most prevalent form of terrorism in the United States and around the world. if you start to look around, church bombings, African American church bombings and fire bombings, Pittsburgh 6 months ago, this event, but it's all interconnected. The person who assaulted and killed 11 people on a Sabbath morning in prayer in Pittsburgh quoted the white nationalist from Sweden, and was himself quoted by the fellow in New Zealand who went to assault Muslims on a Friday in a mosque. So we shouldn't imagine that these things are isolated events just because somebody has a warped mind. It's isolated. They do have a warped mind, but it's all part of a network of conspiratorial thinking that most of us, thank God, know nothing about. Does that help you at all, Ken?
Well, it does. It's as I said, an unspeakable tragedy which is happening often in American society, in schools and synagogues, other places of worship, and other aspects of society. Las Vegas, terrible tragedy at a concert, people enjoying the day. Well, we just have a moment left, but is there a remedy area in this? I mean, obviously communication, but it seems like this is a very small percent of the population that's causing tremendous damage on our society. Hey, Admiral, can you stick around with us for a few minutes?
Well, yeah, I've got a couple of minutes. I do, but then I have an appointment at
okay, very good.
3 o'clock.
Very good. You're listening to the Sons of the American Legion radio report here on WVOX 1460 AM and heard worldwide at WVOX.com. I'm John Charan, along with Ken Kreitzer and Jack McGurk. We're bringing you news of veterans in the active military, and we'll be back with more from Admiral Harold Robinson right after this.
With world and national news, here is the latest update from Fox News Radio on 1460 WVOX.
Fox News, I'm Rich Dennison. The FBI says it received a tip about a threatening social media post 5 minutes before the weekend synagogue attack in Southern California, but it was too late to identify a suspect. Rabbi Israel Goldstein, injured in the attack, describes his encounters with the shooter.
He had sunglasses on. I couldn't see his eyes. I couldn't see his soul.
Prosecutors may add a hate crime charge against suspected shooter John Earnest, who already faces homicide charges. One person was killed, 3 others injured in that attack. Attorney General William Barr may not testify at a House committee hearing this week.
Barr is warning if he's questioned by committee lawyers in addition to rounds of questioning by lawmakers as well as a proposed closed-door session, he won't show up to Thursday's hearing on the Mueller report. If Barr doesn't comply, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler said the committee will have to subpoena him.
Fox's John Decker. This is Fox News.
Fox Nation is the place for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. New opinion shows from Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, and Tommy Lahren you can only get by signing up for Fox Nation. Plus, the real stories behind the headlines, documentaries on Chappaquiddick, Jimmy Hoffa, and more that you'll only find on Fox Nation. More of the opinion done right you crave? It's on Fox Nation. Documentaries and specials you can't get anywhere else? They're on Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com today and sign up now for Fox Nation. Opinion done right now.
Chris Wallace on Fox News Channel.
The animating question for me is always, what's going to happen next? If people sense that you're not pushing an agenda, you're not pulling your punches, they're going to rely on you. It's a commitment to the truth. One of the advantages, I think, of having been in this business so long, you're able to detect what is real, what is important, and what's just political noise.
Chris Wallace on Fox News Channel. Real news, real honest opinion.
Life is pretty busy around here. I have a very active lifestyle, a big family. I went on a walk and I just felt like I was really going to pass out.
Brenda knew something was wrong. That's when her cardiologist sent her to the heart specialists at White Plains Hospital. Dr. Daniel Wong used an innovative pacemaker technology to treat Brenda's heart rhythm disorder.
Well, heart rhythm disorders are a very common problem. White Plains Hospital is among the first centers in Westchester County to offer patients treatment options that can generate a much more natural heartbeat than traditional pacing.
Now, this busy grandmother can keep up with her active family.
It was like I never had the problem. I don't think I've missed a beat. Everybody thinks the city is the place to have to be, but we have something much closer to our doorstep right here.
White Plains Hospital. Exceptional every day. To find a physician, call 914-849-MYMD. That's 914-849-6963. A member of the Molecule Health System.
Hi, this is Sid Mark, inviting you to join me every Saturday evening at 7 for the Sounds of Sinatra right here on 1460 WVOX. Join me every week for 2 hours of Frank Sinatra, and you'll hear the most remarkable music of Francis Albert, along with some commentary, interviews, fun facts, and more about one of the greatest singers of all time. So join me for the Sounds of Sinatra every Saturday evening at 7. Sid Mark inviting you to be with us at 1460 WVOX.
1460 WVOX.
Welcome back to the Sons of the American Legion Radio Report on WVOX 1460 and heard around the world on WVOX.com. Joining us on the line is retired Rear Admiral Harold Robinson, and now here's Ken.
Hey, thanks, Jack. And yes, we appreciate a few minutes of Rabbi Rear Admiral Harold Robinson calling in. And Admiral, do you have a final thought on where the solution is to eradicate incidents like this from our society? What's the direction the country has to go in to avoid these terrible incidents like happened in San Diego over the weekend?
Well, I think the first thing is to call them by name. This white nationalism is a terrorist trending organization, and we have to call it by name. We were very insistent for many years that we had to talk about Islamic terrorism by name. We couldn't just say, we couldn't be amorphous about it. We have to do the same thing with white nationalist terrorism. And when we see white nationalist terrorism organizing an event, we have to call it out and refuse to say, everybody has a right to an opinion. They don't have an equal right to an opinion, and that opinion includes motivating people to kill on the basis of race, religion. People sitting in prayer on Saturday morning, people in prayer at the Mother Emanuel Church. This is all driven by the same nefarious motivation. We have to call it by name.
Admiral, we appreciate your perspective and your friendship, and we know you have to go to an appointment, but we appreciate a couple of minutes of your calling in today.
God bless you, and God bless all your listeners and all who have served our great nation. God bless America.
And to you also, thank you, sir. And that is Rear Admiral Harold Robinson, a 30-year veteran of the United States Navy, a rabbi. Worked with the Marine Corps for, I think, 18 years of his service, and is our partner in building the Jewish Chaplains Monument at Arlington National Cemetery and several other follow-up projects on that. John, where's the solution in this?
The solution, I think, is just making sure that we do not whitewash the blame on any one group. We have to basically hold people accountable for their own actions. We can't just blanketly say that this person, over here because they look different or they sound different is a terrorist. We have to take people for their own individual actions, and we also have to stand up that everybody in America deserves the right to worship however they choose.
And again, this is a 19-year-old male. And that scenario is often the case in these terrible incidents. And I think of the Newtown situation in Connecticut and others. And then also is another AK-15 rifle used in this.
AR-15.
AR-15 IA. Perhaps the thought is to ban sales to under 21-year-olds.
See, I tend to agree with you on that front, because the fact of the matter is that, they've said that young people's minds aren't fully developed, their ability to make proper judgment aren't fully developed. Being able to let them, have access to weapons that young may be one of the ways to make sure that the proper people are kept in check.
Okay, John, you have a story on Bob Graham, the World War II Marine who was buried this
Absolutely
week.
right, Ken. There was a great story on Friday that there was a World War II Marine, Marine PFC Bob Graham, who was the recipient of both the Silver Star and the Bronze Star for his work and service in World War II in the Pacific. Well, he came back from the war, served as a New York State Corrections Officer here in New York, and was a devoted husband to his wife for 60 years. She passed away 2 years ago when they were both residents of a Cortlandt Manor nursing home, and the reality was that he had made many friends, but he had no more living relatives. And one of the friends he made was a 27-year-old volunteer named Trish Regan. She was concerned that when he passed, there would be no one there to honor this great man. She sent out messages on social media, and thanks to her messages that were retweeted and repassed around out social media, more than 300 people turned out. The Westchester County Firefighters Pipe and Drum Corps came. The military veteran motorcycle group came out. There was a police escort. He truly got a ceremony and a send-off the way that a true military hero should have been. Like I say, more than 300 people were there. And afterwards, Trish Regan made a couple of comments that I think are very, very telling.
Oh my gosh, I'm speechless. I really am. I'm just overwhelmed with emotion, and the support and the outpouring of love it's incredible.
That was Trish Regan, 27 years old, saluting her friend, 97-year-old PFC Bob Graham, who served in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II.
Okay, thank you, John. And Jack, do you have any other stories, quick?
Well, I do have a play openings where we have
Tell us about the play.
Yeah, 3 more performances of Auntie Mame. It's a classic comedy from the 1940s, directed by Amanda Livingston Martin, great director, and we have a wonderful cast. Phyllis Lindy, Caitlin Stoltz, Eileen Sigamelli, Thomas Lucido, Liz Palladino, Penelope Golden, Chris Mantakis, the list goes on and on.
And where is that going to be?
City Island Theater, that's Grace Hall on City Island in the Bronx. If you go on cityislandtheatergroup.com, you can get tickets. It's going to be this Friday night at 8, Saturday night at 8, and Sunday matinee at 3, so cityislandtheatergroup.com.
And what are you going to play?
I play 3 roles in the show. I actually play Auntie Mame's brother, Edmund Dennis. I also play a couple of smaller parts, the role of Cousin Jeff, who is the cousin of Mame's husband, or future husband, and another ensemble character.
We'll break a leg.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job on that. Tomorrow night, we will be producing video live on the Met Basketball Writers Dinner from Tarrytown. About 500 people will attend, and honored at that event from 2 teams that we cover, from Army, from the women's team, Madison Hovern, a senior, is a first-team All-Met player, will be recognized, and from Iona College, Ricky McGill and E.J. Crawford were both recognized as first-team All-Met area, and that is a dinner that is named for a World War II veteran from St. John's, Lieutenant Haggerty. So we will be doing streaming video. Look for that on our Facebook page, Sons of the American Legion Radio. Friday, we receive an award from the New York State Broadcasters Association at a luncheon, and we're very proud of that, representing the station, everybody here, Mr. O'Shaughnessy, and everybody here at WVOX. And this past Saturday, I drove up to Buffalo, and we produced video of the National Commander's Homecoming Dinner, our good friend Greg Doc Gibbs. And here's a little bit of his remarks. He talks very warmly about his father, a World War II era Marine.
So there's my dad, a 16-year-old Buffalo City kid. He's listening to Pearl Harbor, listening to the Pearl Harbor attack on the radio. Now, there's no TV in 1941. The next day, he goes downtown, out to Buffalo. to the Armed Services Recruiter. And he signs up with his older brother. Quits high school, joins the Marines. Within a year or so, he finds himself on a tiny pork chop-shaped island in the Pacific, less than 10 miles wide. A place where tens of thousands of his fellow Marines are killed. That's crazy. Okay, so then you're going to high school. You're dating your girlfriend. You're wondering, wow, is this the girl I'm going to marry? You're working that part-time job. What kind of career am I going to have when I graduate from high school in the next couple months? Should I go to college? Will I ever really be able to buy a brand new car? They're almost $2,000 now. Then the government notifies you and decides to send you to Vietnam. Vietnam. Is that one word or two words? Vietnam. A place you never heard of in high school. They say they're going to send you there and you're going to shoot people. Oh, yes, they're going to be shooting back. Sure, yeah, I'm up for that. That's crazy. Well, the older I get, the more I'm beginning to understand that level of crazy. All this for our country? For America? What is America? A country bound by the Atlantic Ocean on one side and the Pacific Ocean on the other? No, not really. We've got Alaska and Hawaii that aren't even connected to us. America is really just a collection of ideas and values. Ideas that a dozen or so men thought up 200 years ago. We want freedom of speech. We want
Okay, and that is National Commander Greg Gibbs from our organization, Sons of the American Legion Radio, talking about what his father and his brother fought for in World War II and in Vietnam.
And reminding everyone what the American Legion and the Sons of the American Legion is about. You've been listening to the Sons of the American Legion radio report here on WVOX 1460 AM and heard worldwide at WVOX.com. We thank today's special guests, Rear Admiral retired Harold Robinson of the U.S. Navy, nursing home volunteer Trish Regan, and retiring National Commander of the Sons of the American Legion, Greg Doc Gibbs. Until next week, remember to thank a veteran.
1460 WVOX, WVIP HD2, and WVIP HD3.